All right, everyone. Welcome to practice tonight. I'm just adjusting my lights here. Um, please say hello in the chat box if you want to. It's not, you know, it's all optional, but I'd love to see who's in the room tonight, where you're um, practicing from, and so forth. Welcome to those of you who are new to practice with us. This is our guided Medicine Buddha practice, which is uh, just practices that come out of, well, my interpretation of practices that come out of the Medicine Buddha tradition, which is you know, a deity worship practice around healing. So, just in case you're new, um, so please go ahead. Anything you want to add? Also, just remind you to also have prayer requests um, that you have the option of placing into the chat box as well. So anything that you're holding prayers for yourself, for others, um, you can place that. We can offer those prayers as well. So we'll give people a few more minutes to come into the room as well as we get started. The facts of life. The facts of life. You take the good, you take the bad. You take them both, and then you have the facts of life. Yeah, welcome everyone. Members of Boomi Sparsha, those of you who are coming in from the Calm app, those of you in the Going to Lonesome Valley group, welcome. I guess we're calling it the Facts of Life crew now. I am living and practicing on Muscogee Creek land, that we call Atlanta. And I wonder if, for those of you who joined us last week, if some of you were able to kind of put some of these, a lot of the practices that we did last week into play. I wonder if you've been working with it some. Just connecting to the land, doing the land acknowledgements, and I guess we were really just doing emotional labor for the land, you know. I wonder if anyone tried that out. You can also do this with water as well, water blessings, and doing this kind of connecting to water, which I've been doing lately as well, which has been quite powerful, actually, to connect to the element of water. Right. And as always, the previous 26 sessions of our time here on this platform, on Crowdcast, is available so that you can watch that anytime. We do have the first year or so of our practice on Zoom. It's recorded. It's somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's recorded. Um, so 1 or 2 more minutes for people to get into the space. I just got my braces um, adjusted today, so I feel I'm very much aware of them and all the food that already got stuck in them. I'm not really good with braces. Well, anyhow, people coming in from Nicaragua, from places. From Tina, yes, I appreciated the reframe on the land acknowledgement from being performative to being experienced. It has changed the way I introduce myself to the land and the water, yeah. So, this is, I've been exploring this in different spaces for the past 2 weeks or so, and this was part of, so for my new book I'm working on called The New Saints, and I know The New Saints sounds like a Marvel Comics or DC Comics comic book, The New Saints, so like superheroes that are like flying on to a post-pandemic world, but who knows if we'll ever be post-pandemic at this point. But in The New Saints, I am exploring one of the things, right, that I'm exploring is how do we return, well, as an expression of sainthood, how can one of our expressions of sainthood be to return back to a sense of indigeneity, to a sense of connecting directly to the natural world, right? To cut through the barriers that have been erected between us and the natural world, and to the conscious phenomenal world as well. When I say conscious phenomenal world, I mean that how inanimate objects can be conscious. They can be endowed with a certain ability to our capacity to know, to feel, right? And so we explored this in thinking about homes and housing, like our homes, be it, no matter where we are. It can be, an apartment or a house, a tent, there's a consciousness there. And how do we recognize that consciousness? How do we consider the physical structure where we live as being alive? And how do we honor that living quality of our homes, of the land, and so forth? You can tell, how a home feels. You ever walked into someone else's home and you just felt like and it may be energies in the home. It's also the home itself. The home absorbs energy. And that's just been something, this kind of returning to this kind of indigeneity. I think it's important because we're trying, as we're facing the future of climate instability, political unrest, everything, the path of healing is to come back, to reconnect to the natural world, right? To reconnect to people, to reconnect to community. Like we have to deeply embody compassion. And before you can get to compassion, of course, you have to move through empathy, right? Because I have this whole new theory of compassion as well that I kind of like separate everything out a little more. You know, it's there are a lot of us who actually don't know how to embody compassion. So I've been trying to really think critically about all the many steps that go into the embodiment or the generation of compassion, right? But that compassion is what draws us into relationship with others. You know, I have to give a shit. You know, I have to give a shit about myself. I have to give a shit about others. I have to give a shit about the natural world. I have to care. You know, and it's something that's missing, quite honestly, is the care. You know, I see so much, you know, as we all see, we see so much happening in the places that we're living, you know, in politics and so forth. And I just ask myself, where's the care at? You know, like, why do we not give a shit about the earth or people or the person, you know, the people we're living around, right? Or don't we? And a lot of that's because we're afraid of people. We're also just, many of us are just tired. There's such a fatigue, compassion fatigue. You know, sometimes we call it. You know, the compassion fatigue is just, you know, just an expression of the ways in which we're not taking care of ourselves. You know, I can't give a shit about you because I just don't have the energy to give a shit about myself. I don't have the energy to do the self-care and to do the self-love for myself. You know, whatever I can do for myself, well, actually, whatever extent I can do for others is directly dependent and related to whatever I do for myself. I'm the source of compassion. My self-compassion is the source of compassion for others. You know, and what's really dangerous is when we start performing our way through caring for people. You know, because it becomes extremely depleting for us if we're just performing. And then once we hit the edge and we fall over the edge, then we can potentially create harm because we don't have the energy to really communicate or to set boundaries anymore, to protect ourselves and others from the harm, you know, that comes from overextending our care. You know, it's hard to continue. It's hard to be the one who's always there for people, and then you get tired and overwhelmed, and you just stop. You know, and then people have been relying on you. Yeah, and I get that too. Um, I think there's an urgency that many of us are responding to, and with that urgency, we say, well, you know, it doesn't matter if I'm not doing this work for myself. I have to help others. Well, this is urgent time. It's always been urgent. You know, there's always been, you know, it's always been a crisis for groups, right? You know, but now we're losing the capacity to change the channel, you know, to distract ourselves. Everything is happening, coming up all at once. All these things that have always been problems, but they're all just coming up at once now. We can't change the channel. We can't distract ourselves. And so we just shut down. You know, you shut down, you go numb, and then you just kind of like put yourself on autopilot and just kind of waltz through everything, through the world, through your life, through interactions, interpersonal relationships. You just kind of waltz through without caring, you know, because you can't care because you're overwhelmed. And the path of liberation here is to go back and to begin to see and name and experience everything that's coming up for us, right? And then as we're experiencing, we're calling in the support and the help that we need that helps us to hold, the intensity of the experience. So it's not just me just pushing in saying, I'm going to feel this, whatever it may be, grief, anger, rage, sorrow, despair, whatever it may be. That it's not just me doing this, it's me as I call in the support of ancestors and deities, as of earth, all the elements. And this is why I want, if if you don't take away anything from what I offer, I want you to really be sure to take away the belief that you have the capacity to call in the resources that you need to do the work, to do this labor of being well and helping others to be well. Like, you have to believe in that capacity. If you don't, I don't know how any of us, for those of us who don't call in help, I don't know how you get through this. I don't know how you can possibly get through the world without help, especially now. Okay, so I'm going to get started now. Okay. I'm just reading through some of the comments right now before we begin. You have to find yourself. You have to return back to the natural state. That's, the theory, the idea of a dharma, of indigeneity. You have to go back to where you're arising from. So that means that it's not about being in a system and trying to figure out the system. It's going past the system back to the root of everything, and then learning how to grow with the root of everything. Like, so with last week we did the earth meditation, the earth practice, and we imagined going back to the point, the origin of the land itself. Go back to the origin of the land itself. Like, where did the land come from? Which is, as I said, we're not scientists necessarily. Not all of us are scientists or geologists. But just to let the earth tell you its story of its creation, and to go to that origin and to begin to come into form with the earth. To understand that a system, these social systems was never a part of the natural plan. There was another kind of, there was a naturalness, a natural meaning, I think that, well, in this case, natural meaning that it wasn't, it was something that we surrendered to, and that surrendering created this path of development. Um, I think systems come out, social systems, right? These systems of domination and power come out of a kind of manipulation that's actually based on our lack of capacity to be with suffering. And I think systems of power and dominance arise out of our attempt to bypass suffering. Um, we bypass that suffering by trying to control, manipulate what we think are the causes and conditions of suffering. You know, that kind of manipulation. Well, of course, that kind of manipulation is seen in all the ways in which these systems, patriarchy, racism, colonialism, imperialism, is all about just trying to subjugate and control, right? To somehow dominate the phenomenal world to make it less antagonistic. But in fact, you know, we are just getting more and more attached to this sense of ego. We're getting more and more attached to this sense of realness, to the illusion of realness. You know, we're planting ourselves, burying ourselves within the realm of the real, and the real doesn't exist. You know, and so when we come to die and the realness that we've invested in begins to actually shift, that creates a trauma for us as we're transitioning from this physical realm to the spirit realm. And there's a trauma. And it's even more traumatic if we have not done the work to connect to and experience the multiple ways in which we manifest as beings. So if we're not doing work to really have an experience of our energy bodies or our mental bodies, right? To know that there are other things, other expressions of who we are that continue, that survive the letting go of the physical. If we don't get that, that becomes a shock for us. So when you get into the other realm, it's a spirit realm, it's called spirit realm, Bardo, spirit realm. When you get into the realm, it's a shock, and that, of course, I think that shock leads to trauma, and then later PTSD that beings can potentially takes a long time for beings to work through. So in a way, all this is like super simple, and it's super simple in one way, and in another way, not so simple. And I think it isn't so simple because the truth of things requires a devotion to practice in this body and in this life. It's work, it's labor, as I always say. You know. So this is part of the labor, I guess, right here. So tonight, I have several practices in mind. I've been contemplating which one I wanted to offer, but I think I want to do a couple of things. I want to go back, revisit our earth practice, just a bit of it from last week. And I want to go into a practice I think we've only done once over the past year and a half, which I think that this will be really great to get back into. And go ahead and finish um, offering your prayers. Okay, so let's just begin. Allow yourself to come into a position that feels appropriate for practice. Shifting your attention now to your intentions for practice. Why are you practicing? Who are you practicing for? And we can also make our aspirations to offer whatever benefit that we experience in this practice out to all beings who need this energy, this benefit, this liberation. If you're able to just notice the breath, I just invite you to just for a few moments, just noticing the breath, the in breath and the out breath. And again, if you're with the breath, allowing the breath to deepen, right? So to elongate the inhale, elongate the exhale, in and out. When you're ready, shifting your attention to the heart center. You can just bring your attention to the heart center, noticing, just the heart center itself. And if you want to go a little further, imagine that you're breathing in and out of the heart center. When you're ready to continue, I invite you to begin your gratitude practice. So remembering or reflecting on all the ways that you are the recipient of kindness and labor from so many others around you, from so many beings. Letting that energy of gratitude begin to awaken in the heart center. Letting the energy of gratitude begin to circulate from the heart center and to move throughout the body, filling the body up with this energy of gratitude. Now shifting your attention down to the seat, noticing the weight of the body making contact with the seat. Now shifting your attention down to the earth under you, noticing the energetic expression of the earth, the land. And in this moment, I invite you in your mind, or even verbally, to ask the land how it is. So you're checking in with the land and asking the land how it's feeling, how it's doing. And then let the land, the earth, respond in whatever way it is responding. No, let's go a little further now, and I invite you to begin to offer the energy of gratitude down into the earth, and beginning to imagine that the earth is beginning to fill up with this energy of gratitude from your practice and from your body. Now we begin to imagine that the earth begins to awaken, becomes even more conscious as it's filled with this energy of gratitude. I wonder if you can begin to imagine that the earth being filled with this gratitude, being awakened now. Having gone through all of this, imagining that the earth begins to radiate with this energy of gratitude. And that radiation, that radiance of gratitude is directed towards us. So feeling the gratitude of the earth towards us. So the earth is actually returning the gratitude that we've offered to it. And now it returns it to us. I wonder if you can deeply absorb and drink in this gratitude that's being returned to us from the earth. I wonder if you can also imagine how this energy of gratitude begins to radiate, not just from the earth itself, but from everything growing from the earth, from all the plants, even the mountains, the trees, everything, anything emerging from the earth. I wonder if we can feel that gratitude radiating from all these different life forms. And when you're ready, I invite you to begin to call in your benefactors, your homecoming circle. And just imagine that these beings, these energies begin to circle around you. when your circle feels present for you, beginning to imagine that your circle begins to radiate the energy of care into the space around you. And you begin to absorb that energy of care. And so at this point, there's all this energy happening. There's your self gratitude energy, then there's the gratitude energy from the earth, and then there's the energy of care also being radiated into the space. All of these energies are being absorbed by actually multiple bodies at once: the physical body, the mental body, the spiritual body, energy body. And everything that we're doing and absorbing these energies is actually impacting the collective body as well. So these aspects of ourselves are being changed. And I wonder if you can, in whatever way seems appropriate, begin to let go a little more, as if you're like standing on the edge of a pool and you just like want to dive in, or maybe you want to be more careful in getting into the pool, but you know you have to get into the water somehow. So like maybe that gradual easing into letting go, to be held by these energies that we've sparked in our practice, and letting these energies take care of you. So we're going to begin the first part of our mantra practice. I think we're going to divide the mantra practice into a couple of short sections for our practice, and we'll be doing different things in every section. So in this first section, chanting the Medicine Buddha mantra Om Te Ta, Bacon say Ma, Bacon say Rasa Sumungate Soha, which will be in the chat box. Chanting that and just allowing ourselves to be held by these energies. Letting ourselves surrender to these energies as well. So that's the work of our first round of mantras. Te Ta, Bacon say, Maha, Bacon say, Ratsa Sumungate Soha. O Te Ta, Bacon say, Ma, Bacon say, Ratsa Sumungate Soha. Te Ta, Bacon say, Ma, Bacon say, Ratsa Sumungate Soha. Te Ta, Bacon say, Ma, Bacon say, Ratsa Sumungate Soha. Te Ta, Bacon say, Ma, Bacon say, Now I want to just transition into offering our prayers as we remain in this state. As I begin to offer the prayers, I call into our spaces, again, all of our benefactors, and asking them to hear, to witness, to act on our behalf, to help those and to benefit those we begin to offer in our prayers. We're offering prayers for Bobby, who is healing from a fractured leg, for Dove, Sue Ann, and Susan, who are being treated for cancer, for Jeff and Sally, who need eye surgery, for CL, who passed recently, for Robin, who is recovering from illness, for Rachel, who's been having trouble with her knee. We're offering prayers for Sierra Kathleen Gordon, her granddaughter, hopeless, homeless, addicted to heroin. We offer prayers for myself as I continue to solo parent during a work caused physical separation from my spouse. Prayers to remember I am cared for, I am supported, and I can ask for help. We're offering prayers for Ha-Rab Yeshayahu, Yavadaya ben Nachama Vishlomo, Shavia Heisenberg and his wife, Behira Sugarman. Offering prayers for all the places on the earth that are experiencing their trauma through environmental catastrophe. Prayers for the trees, plants, animals, waters. Prayers for the land. Prayers for my emotional overwhelm in the wake of my mother's death, and for all those who have lost folks recently, and also prayers for all beings transitioning into the bardo and the spirit realm, for those beings who are already in the spirit bardo, that they're able to find light and safety and peace and clarity as they continue their path towards awakening. Prayers of healing and recovery for Doreen from knee replacement surgery and the anxiety she carries from all of her losses. Prayers for people with PTSD, especially those who are activated as the Delta variant spreads. Prayers for my sister as she heals, and for Jen as she looks for a job that appreciates her many talents. Offering prayers for Miriam and Gabrielle, still grieving their daughters, Anna and Liza. Our prayers are for equanimity and courage to continue on the path as the world is on fire, and I continue to grieve for more and more people and species. We're also offering prayers for my protection and safety. I'm a solo traveler. I'm solo traveling as a trans person in a space where I don't know the language, and it's been scary. Offering prayers for Mother Earth. offering prayers for my gender becoming, and meeting with a surgeon to talk top surgery on Thursday. I want to also offer prayers for my uncle Donnell as he continues to recover from heart-related illness. Offer prayers for Mike and for Sammy. Offer prayers for my uncle who is still transitioning in the Bardo, that he may have safety and peace. Offer prayers for myself as I continue to move through holding sorrow and grief and sadness for so many beings. And I offer prayers for all beings who are wanting to get free, who are seeking safety, all beings who struggle to embody compassion and love and wisdom. Prayers for all of us trapped and harmed by systems of abuse, power, and domination. Prayer for all of us still struggling with the impact of COVID-19 and all its variants and all diseases. Offering prayers again for the earth, for our land, for the climate to come back into stability, that we all actually may be free from delusion and hate and separation, that we all may embody love and everything that we need in order to heal ourselves and to heal our world, to do everything that we can do to heal this world. And that whatever positive labor we've done to free ourselves and to free others, that the energy of that labor meets us at the time of death and helps us to transition into the spirit Bardo world. So as we move back into our mantra practice, we begin to imagine that all those whom we've offered prayers for, all of our prayers that we're offering for ourselves and for those that we love, that the energy of the earth, this energy of care and gratitude that we've been working with, that we begin to send this energy out into the lives, the bodies, the experiences of those whom we've offered prayers for, and that this energy becomes what they need to be well, to be safe, to be free, to be healed, including ourselves, imagining that this energy also becomes more specifically something that we need in order to feel well and safe and cared for. We begin again. O Tia Taum Begenze, Begenze, Ma Begenze, Laza Sumunga Tesoha. Tia Taum Begenze, Begenze, Ma Begenze, Laza Sumunga Tesoha. Tia Taum Begenze, Begenze, Ma Begenze, Laza Sumunga Tesoha. Tia Taum Begenze, Begenze, Ma Begenze, Laza Sumunga Tesoha. Tia Taum Ganze, Rasa Sumunga, Tesua, Teata, Humbe Ganze, Beganze, Maha Beganze, Ratsa Sumunga, Tesua. So letting go of offering out, offering to ourselves, returning our attention to the seat under us. Noticing the weight of our bodies, making contact with the seat. And turning our attention now to our circle of benefactors. We thank them for their kindness, for their love. Imagining that they begin to dissolve into white light, and that white light is absorbed to our heart centers. As we prepare to close our practice tonight, we do so with a prayer, and this prayer is that this energy of care, gratitude that we've been deeply drinking in, that this energy stays with us for as long as possible after this session, that we're able to connect to the earth whenever we need to, that we still, for as long as possible, stay wrapped within this protective energy of care and gratitude. We turn our attention to Shantideva's prayer, which we will recite 3 times together. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine. And may I be the nurse for all beings in the world until everyone is healed, just like space, and great elements such as earth. May I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed, just like space and the great elements such as earth. May I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all the sick beings in the world until everyone is healed, just like space and the great elements such as earth. May I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I always be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Thank you so much for your practice tonight. I'm just gonna just see if there are any questions or anything here. Um, okay, so for this question, this is for Pam. So after practicing holding land, I'm feeling overwhelmed by the voices of Mother Earth crying out, "Attend to me, please take care of me." I've always found Earth practices very grounding, but today, the morning I'm having a hard time getting grounded. So when we're connecting to things and really like beginning to channel the grief of things, the thing for us is not to hold on to it, but not to react to it, really, and to let that energy pass through, to let that energy do what it does. When I'm doing this practice, I just imagine that this energy is like a river, or a stream moving through me. Like I'm not trying to use my body as a receptacle, as a container. I'm trying to use my body as this vehicle, this conduit to send this energy elsewhere. And for me, I can send this energy into different things, but a really simple thing to do is to imagine just a deity. If you have a deity practice, a deity above your head, and you're sending this energy up into the deity to hold. And to move as well. So to physically move, to help this energy move as well. Moving, breathing, visualizations of energy running through you. These are things that helps us to move energy, to mobilize energy through us. So if we feel really heavy and weighed down right now, I would suggest you do some movement practice, take a walk, do some asana practice. If you're going to the Lonesome Valley, you have the video, the asana video as well that you can use, which is great for feeling heavy, which is why I created that sequence. And this speaks to the ways and the reality of how the phenomenal world is full of data and information that we create blocks against, and for a good reason, because it's overwhelming. But the more our practice deepens, the bigger our capacity to hold this data grows. And of course, part of this data is the suffering, right? Part of it is the suffering. There's also a lot of joy as well. But we kind of get oriented towards the suffering because that's the most uncomfortable. Um, so the more the capacity to hold things is really just the capacity to allow things to simply arise in your experience without reacting. Just noticing, experiencing. Again, as you're doing that, calling in. So if you feel overwhelmed, call in support, right? Call in your guides, your ancestors, whomever that's around you to help you hold this, to channel this energy. So asking for help is helping others. Yeah. It seems the way to bypass share self. Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, when we ask for help, we are also acknowledging that we're not all powerful and mighty, like we're not gods. Um, that we do need help, like we need support. We need all of this, and that really cuts through a lot of ego clinging to ask for help. And this is why we don't do it. Actually, like we don't ask for help because many of us we fight asking because it begins to disrupt ego, or our fixation to ego. Okay, so thank you all for your practice, and yeah. So thank you, and I'll be seeing different groups of you in different ways this week. Okay. Thank you all so much for your practice. Please take care of yourself, and I will see you soon. Okay. Bye.